Hello everyone, welcome to Masterminds. Today we are going to discuss about the chapter What, Where, How and When from Class 6 History. This is the very first chapter of history from Class 6. In this chapter, it mainly focuses on the ancient people, about their lifestyle, where they live, how they live, and it also gives detailed description about the ways in which we can get knowledge about the past. First, we can look at the need to study past, or what can we know about the past. By studying the past, we can get information about the food habits of the early people, what the early people eat, and about the clothing pattern, what the kind of clothes they wore, then what kind of houses they were used to live, then about the living style and the hobbies and the occupations they are engaged in. Some may be hunters, others may be herders or farmers, rulers, musicians, scientists, etc. Next, we can look at where did these earliest people lived. They lived on the banks of Narmada River. You can see here in this map, Narmada River is located here, and the earliest people lived on the banks of the Narmada River, and they were mainly skilled gatherers, that is, people who gathered their food, and these people were very well aware about the plants in the surrounding forest, and they collect fruits, roots, nuts and other forest produce from the nearer area for the survival or as a food. And they also hunted animals. So these people are known as gatherers and hunters or hunter-gatherers. Next we can look at the Sulaiman and Kirtar Hills. The Sulaiman and Kirtar Hills comes almost in this area. You can look at in your NCERT textbook, the map is given there. And the Sulaiman and Kirtar Hills is the first region where men and women first began to grow crops. It is almost 1,000 years ago. People in this area also began rearing animals like sheep, goat and cattle. Next is the Garo Hills in the northeast. It is almost in this region. This also you can refer into your NCERT textbook. It is in Meghalaya region. Then it is there the development of agriculture first take place. Next in north of Vindhyas, you can see here Narmada River, and in the north of the Narmada River is the Vindhyas range, and in the north of the Vindhyas is the evidence of first rice cultivation was found. Next is the earliest cities. Earliest cities were flourished on the banks of the Indus River and tributaries. You can see the river Indus here and the tributaries Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, Satluj, etc. And on the banks of these rivers, the earliest cities were flourished. That is almost 4,700 years ago. Then the cities developed about 2,500 years ago on the banks of the river Ganga and its tributaries, and the new cities were developed. That is around 2,500 years ago. The major kingdom lies to the south of the Ganga river is the Magadha kingdom. It lies to the south of the Ganga river, and it is now lies in the state of Bihar, and its rulers were very powerful and they set up a large kingdom. Next we can look why is South Asian often called a subcontinent, because it is very large even though it is smaller than a continent, and it is separated from the rest of Asia by seas, hills and mountains. From the map you can see in the south here. In the south it is surrounded by water, in the west Arabian Sea, and in the east Bay of Bengal. And then the Himalayan region in the northeastern region, then the western Ghats here, then eastern Ghats here. Then even though The hills, mountains, deserts, rivers, and seas made difficult at times. People in earlier times traveled from one place to the subcontinent together for many reasons. Either it may be in search of livelihood or to escape from natural disasters like floods and droughts, and sometimes they need to conquer others' lands. The men marched in armies to conquer land, and the merchants they traveled to carry goods from one place to another. Then the religious teachers travel from village to village or town or country by country to offer the religious instructions and advices. And some people have traveled only for a spirit of adventure, that is, they want to discover new and exciting places. Now we can look what are the consequences of these movements, or what did all these movements leads to. Actually, these movements shared the ideas between peoples. They suggest new ways of carving stones, then new ways of composing music, then different ways of cooking food, and all these sharing of ideas lead to the enrichment of our cultural tradition. Next, we can look at how the name of the land came, or how the name India comes. The word India comes from the Indus. It is called Sindhu in Sanskrit, and this name is given by the Iran and the Greeks come to the northwest about almost 2500 years ago, and they know Indus River, and they called Hindu as the land to the east of the river, and that came to be known as India. Then the name Bharat is used for a group of people who lived in the northwest and is mentioned in Rig Veda. Rig Veda is the earliest or very old composition in Sanskrit. You will study more about Vedas in the upcoming chapters, so don't worry. Here you just note this about what is Rig Veda. Next, we can discuss about how we can find about the past. What are the ways in which we can get information about the past? We can get information from manuscripts, then from inscriptions, then archaeological evidences, or then by exploration and excavation. First, we can look at manuscripts. Manuscripts means it is written by hand, and it is usually written on palm leaf or otherwise on the bark of birch trees. It is grown in Himalayan region, and the manuscripts dealt with all kinds of subjects. It includes religious beliefs and practices, medicines, science, epics, poems, plays, etc. Manuscripts are written in Sanskrit language. Some of the manuscripts are written in ordinary language such as Prakrit and Tamil. Then we have inscriptions. Inscriptions are writings on relatively hard surface such as stone or metal. Usually the king's orders are inscribed on metal so that people could see, read and obey king's instruction. Then men and women record what they did. It included kings and queens, and the king recorded his records of battles, victories as inscriptions. Then from archaeological evidence we will get information about the past. That is, from past remains like remains of buildings which are made of stone and brick, paintings and culture, and those who study the past remains of buildings and culture are called archaeologists. Archaeologists also explore and excavate. Excavate means the process of digging under the surface of the earth. It is done to find tools, weapons, pots, pans, ornaments and coins. And in these objects, some objects may be made of stones, others may be made of bones or baked clay or metal. Objects made of stone, metal are hard, so that they are imperishable substance. That is, they live for a long time without any destruction. Next, in studying about the past, dates are very important. What do dates means? The years are counted from the date generally assigned to the birth of Jesus Christ. That is, all the dates before the birth of Christ are considered as before Christ, and it is counted backward. Which means, consider the example of 500 BC and 100 BC. Therefore, 500 BC is earlier than 100 BC. It is counted backward. Then year after the birth of Jesus Christ is termed as AD or Anno Domini, means in the year of Lord. Then before common era is used to represent BC, and the common era is used to represent AD. Next, these are some of the important dates mentioned in NCERT. You can just have a look at this, not very much important, but just know it. The development of agriculture was begun about 1000 years ago. Then first cities on Indus was developed about 4700 years ago. Then cities in Ganga Valley developed about 2500 years ago. Then the present period is about 2000 AD or Common Era. Then here is two simple question and answer. First one is, what is used in the historian to refer the information found from manuscripts, inscriptions and archaeology? The answer is source. Source is usually referred to the information found from scripts, inscriptions and archaeology. Second question is, what is decipherment? It is a process of understanding the scripts and languages in inscriptions. Inscriptions usually contain both the scripts and languages, and the process of understanding that scripts and languages is known as decipherment. So with this we are done with the chapter. If you have any queries, feel free to comment in the comment section, and if you find it useful, do share and recommend to your friends. For more videos, subscribe and click the bell icon for notification. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye bye.